We're back with Dan Rather. Dan, on September 20th, 2004, you delivered a public apology for the 60 Minutes two-piece during your evening news broadcast. Let's take a look.
At the time, CBS News and this reporter fully believed the documents were genuine. Tonight, after further investigation, we can no longer vouch for their authenticity. The failure of CBS News to do just that, to properly, fully scrutinize the documents and their source, led to our airing the documents when we should not have done so. It was a mistake. CBS News deeply regrets it. Also, I want to say personally and directly, I'm sorry.
Does your lawsuit belie that?
No, but it puts it in context. First of all, note that this was about the documents, not about the truth of what we reported. And I keep coming back to Larry. This is where the corporation didn't back us up. They knew we were under extreme attack from partisan political elements and deeply ideological people. There were other people who genuinely thought we were wrong in doing it. Where we were vulnerable is that we couldn't demonstrate to everybody's satisfaction the documents what they did. So note in that what we didn't say what the story reports isn't true, because it was true. Now, on the apology, that I played team, I'm accountable for that. And I understand when somebody says, well, wait a minute, you know, at the time you apologize for two things. I played team. I worked at CBS for 44 years. I believed in the tradition, believed in the mystique, believed in the people. And I think for a long time that was justified. And it was said to me, Dan, if you care about the institution, if you care about the people that you work with, and indeed if you care about your own reputation, it's time for us to say something about the documents, and time for us to say sorry, and time for you to say you're sorry. In the end, it was left up to me, and I read it. I think anybody who's worked in a large corporation and had a team leadership responsibility understands those pressures. Now, the other thing is I didn't know then what I know now. A great deal has come out. It became obvious as time went along that what the management, the ownership, the management of the corporation, and the head of the news division, to a degree, wanted to do was make sure that they shifted whatever blame there was going to be for whatever, if anything, had happened, away from themselves and put it on me and some other good people in the news division. And they succeeded in doing it. Some of it they did in secret, talking among themselves. But I understand that the apology, I said it, I meant it at the time, I mean it now.
Did you write it?
No.
You did not write it?
No. The most of it was written, I think, by the corporation. I don't know who, but most of it was written. I was asked to, Pat, I can remember that in my office, the president of the news division was in fairly late working on it. But we were working together at that time because I thought that we were a team. As it turned out, there was this effort to scapegoat myself and others in the news division. We haven't even talked about this so-called alleged independent commission that investigated it.
You say that
they spent months and they spent tens of millions of dollars.
Was a distinguished lawyer involved in it?
A former attorney general of the United States, a good friend of the Bushes and a loyal a Republican, Mr. Thornburg, headed it. It's nothing personal with him. But what this was, and the lawsuit alleges, and I think it can be shown, this was in many ways a fraud. It was a setup. It was designed, it was designed to achieve a certain result so that the corporation would be exonerated.
Are you saying Dick Thornburg, former governor of Pennsylvania, participated in a fraud?
That's what the record shows. And that's what we allege. That's what we allege.
You allege in your lawsuit.
And I think the record shows that clearly. Why didn't they go at, they had tens of millions of dollars and a lot of time, and they said, we didn't even investigate whether the documents were true or not. Now, we now know that an investigator was hired by CBS, what I call a mystery man, who wasn't even mentioned in the report, had looked into it. So what did he say? What did he say to them? We don't know.
Your lawsuit asserts the following about that apology. Quote, despite his own personal feelings that no apology from him was warranted, Mr. Rather had read the apology as instructed. So you were instructed to read that and was written by someone else.
Most of it, nearly all of it was written by somebody else. That's correct. And I stand by that.
That must have been a very hard thing for you to do then.
Well,
worst night of your life?
Yes. No.
Career-wise?
No. Career-wise, it was not a comfortable night. I didn't want to apologize. I didn't think we should apologize. But to say, I cared enough about CBS News, and it was put to me that way. And later events, later things that have come out, have indicated that this was all designed to put the blame on myself and the members of the team and exonerate the supervisors who had put this program on the air. Larry, I was not even invited to the final screening. Some people have used that against me, saying, gosh, you didn't even go to the final screening. I wasn't told when the final screening of the piece was even being held. In there were two corporate attorneys from the corporation. I think two good people. Two corporate attorneys were in. Andrew Hayward himself, a rare thing for the president of the division to be in. Executive. I didn't know the final screening was taking place. I was called at 5 o'clock and saying, it's a green light. The program is on at 8 Eastern Time. It's a green light. Point here is that they were the ones responsible for putting on the air. I depended on a team of people, that's true, to vet it. Didn't happen. But I do want to get back to higher ground, Larry, that I'm prepared to discuss all of these things in due course of the lawsuit, but the central thing here is you can't have freedom of the press if you're going to have large, big corporations and big government intruding and intimidating in newsrooms. The chilling effect on investigative reporting is going to be something we don't want to see.
We have just a couple, Dan will be back for another segment. Here's our disclaimer for CBS. Dan Rather's lawsuit is against CBS, CBS's former parent company, Viacom, CBS chairman Les Moonves, Viacom CEO Sumner Redstone, and former CBS News president Andrew Hayward. Larry King Live sought comments from all the defendants in this suit. From CBS, there was this response. These complaints are old news. This lawsuit is without merit. When contacted, Mr. Moonves and Mr. Hayward referred us to the official CBS statement. We also sought an official comment from Viacom and its CEO Sumner Redstone. That request was declined.